Hey, I'm Sophie. Welcome if you're new. If you're not, I'm Sophie. And today I'm going to share with you 11 things I wish I knew when I started my fitness journey. Because I made so many mistakes, and I'm not even kidding when I say I wasted months of just doing stuff that could easily have been avoided if I had a video like this. So grab a drink, grab some coffee, grab some water, and today I'm going to be your guide and your gym big sister so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. Cheers. First, as a speedy bit of background on my fitness journey, I started 2 years ago, and this was me then. So I was super skinny and literally had no muscle. So my main goal was to gain weight, build muscle, and gain strength. But the thing was, when I started, I really didn't know much about nutrition or training or basically anything to do with fitness. So it was kind of off to a bit of a rough start. But then over the last 2 years, I've been consistently going to the gym, lifting weights, and been on a sort of weight gain journey, I guess. And the thing I didn't realize when I started this journey is that I wouldn't just be gaining weight. I gained muscle, strength, but also so much confidence. It's actually insane. Like, I feel like a completely different person. Over those 2 years, I've learned and grown so much. I qualified as a coach, and here I am. The first year and a half of my fitness journey was definitely where I wasted the most time, and don't get me wrong, I saw good progress, but it could have been so much better if I avoided everything we're about to go into. Because when I fixed those things in literally the last 6 months, my progress has been so much faster than it was in the first year altogether, which is kind of crazy, but also super exciting because imagine if you stopped making the mistakes I did right now. You could make so much faster progress, and I have no words. I'm just super excited. Okay, so to sum up, I started from skinny. My fitness journey has been mostly bulking and lifting weights. Now I'm training to compete in bodybuilding. So the journey's been a bit of a roller coaster to say the least, but the first thing I wish I'd known when I started is what works for someone else might not work for you. This might be a slightly controversial point to start off with, but we're gonna roll with it. Even though lifting has been basically the center of my fitness journey, that doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym at all. The thing that is way more important is that you find a form of exercise that you actually enjoy. Yes, actually enjoy. If you hated going to the gym and you just dragged yourself there every day, your progress isn't going to be as good because you won't be putting in your full 100% effort if you're not enjoying it. Whereas if you really loved cycling, then you could cycle for miles and not get bored of it. Like the thrill of the downhills or the wind in your hair. It's so important that you actually find the activity that you're doing fun to do. Because I'm gonna be real, but you're just gonna end up hating your life and falling off. Hopefully not falling off the bike. So to find a form of exercise that you actually enjoy, you need to try everything. Try going to the gym, try lifting weights, try different forms of lifting like powerlifting or more bodybuilding style. Try classes, try cycling, try swimming, try yoga, try Pilates, try running. You get the picture. There are so many options out there for you to choose from, so go crazy. Also, don't feel like you have to stick to one form of exercise, because nowadays things like hybrid training are becoming super common, so lifting weights and running. I know a lot of people say that if you run when you're lifting weights, then you're just going to lose all your gains, but that is not true, and as long as you're fueling your body right, then you can actually see progress in both. In a similar way, one diet that works for one person might not work for you. There is so much noise and conflicting information telling you one week that this particular diet is going to be the best to help you lose weight, tone up, build muscle, all of it. And then the next week, they're saying something completely different. I've tried so many different diets trying to find the one that's right for me. I've tried keto, low carb, paleo, low fat, and honestly, the one that works best for me is just a balanced diet. And I know it's probably not what most people want to hear because everyone's always looking for a quick fix. But the thing is, with all of these diets that intend to help people lose weight, it's not the diet itself that is helping people lose weight, it's that they're cutting out a whole food group, say, from their diet, so they're eating fewer calories in total. So say you currently needed 2,000 calories to maintain your current weight. If you ate 1,500 calories from pure sugar or pure carbs or pure fat, then you would still lose weight because the calories in are fewer than the calories out. So that is why fad diets actually work. It's just all about energy balance. As soon as I realized that, I realized that I didn't really have to restrict any foods at all. If that food's nutritious, it's going to help me get to my goals, and it makes me feel good afterwards, then it's in my diet. I'm definitely not disregarding all the different diets you hear about because, like I said, what works for one person might not work for someone else. So someone might actually see better results and find it easier to get to their goal on a low-carb diet than eating a balanced diet. And that's okay. But the only thing is, with these diets, you need to make the decision beforehand how you're going to either transition out of that diet or if you're just going to keep eating like that forever. For most people, although they might find it easier on a low-carb diet, it's not the most enjoyable and they would really like a bagel once in a while. But if they decide that they are going to transition out of a low-carb diet, then they need to have a little bit of a plan in place, otherwise they're just going to be eating bagels all day. Because once you get one taste of a carb, the rest is history. The second thing I wish I knew when I started was lifting will not make you bulky. There is a massive misconception that as soon as a woman picks up a dumbbell, she's going to be the size of a house. And that could not be further from the truth. When I started my fitness journey, I don't know about you, but I was so scared to start the gym. And I would literally just do Chloe Ting ab workouts or 1 week challenges. And I did them for months. But I still didn't see any results. And I have nothing against Chloe Ting at all. I know there's a bit online about her, but nothing against her. Because the one thing that doing those workouts did teach me was about consistency. And I would show up for myself and do those workouts, but my mindset was not in the right place. And that mindset sort of came with me into the gym when I started lifting, and it meant that I wasted probably months of training. But anyway, I was told by people in my family not to lift heavy because I would just look like a man when I came out of it. And that sort of freaked me out. I knew in the back of my mind that what they were saying probably wasn't accurate, but I didn't really look into it too much. So I was just like, okay, I won't lift that heavy. I'll just do a few exercises here and there. But girl, do you know how hard bodybuilders have to train and diet to look the way they do? It's very hard, and I can tell you that for a fact. As someone who started bodybuilding a few months ago, I'll put it like this. If you want to grow a dumpy, my girl, you gotta lift heavy. Next point. When I said that I wasted months in the gym, I'm not exaggerating, because what I didn't realize is a lot of the time doing more isn't going to get you better results. In other words, don't skip rest days. I'm not proud to admit that when I started the gym, I didn't take rest days. I was there every single day, 24/7, not 24/7, that'd be a bit long. I was there every single day because 1, I wanted to sort of keep the streak going, and 2, I kind of felt a bit guilty if I didn't do any form of exercise. I've always been a really active person, and just stopping and taking a rest for 1 day felt really weird for me. At that point, it just didn't make sense in my head because I thought if I did more, then I'd get more results, and I rolled with it. I crashed with it. It burned. I don't know what I'm on today. Water. The main reason you'll hear about why rest days are so important is that you need to give your muscles time to recover and build back up after you've been tearing them down in the gym. But it's not just that. When you're in the gym, you're actually working 3 separate systems. You've got your muscular system, your skeletal system, and also your central nervous system, or CNS. If you don't take rest days, then the effects of that are gonna compound on all 3 of these systems, and it's gonna lead to injury. So ways to know that your body needs a rest day for your skeletal system is when your joints start hurting, like your knees are sore when you lift, or your elbows, things like that. Your CNS, when you can't lift as heavy as you could the week before, or you're just feeling sore and tired all the time. And then our muscular system, because we obviously need to give our muscles that time to repair themselves and grow. So when I wasn't taking rest days, I just felt achy and tired and quite honestly drained all the time. Part of this was to do with my nutrition, and we'll get onto that in a minute, but I really didn't understand how important rest days were if I actually wanted to see progress from all the work I was putting in. And I was always injured. If it wasn't my knees, it was my lower back. If it wasn't my lower back, it was some other part of my back. If it wasn't that, it was my elbow, it was my shoulder. I was just not in a good place. And then because I had all these injuries, I couldn't lift as heavy as I wanted to, and I couldn't really put in 100% of the effort that I wanted to put into my workouts. Thankfully, none of my injuries were extreme. Like, I didn't end up in hospital or anything, but there was this one time where I really did something bad to my lower back and I could barely walk. It was so bad, and I had to walk to lectures because I was at uni, and I just hobbled all the way. I had to leave half an hour earlier than I usually would just to get there on time. And sometimes I was late, and it was usually 15 minutes walk away. If you did end up with a more serious injury from not taking enough rest days, then that's going to put you out the gym for longer than taking the rest days in between would in the first place. And that is actually going to slow your progress down. But fast forward to now, I now train 5 days a week, so I have 2 rest days, and I found this is the perfect sweet spot for me because I have enough training days to keep me physically seeing progress and then mentally sane. And since adding just 2 rest days, my progress has gone so much faster. It's actually crazy. And I've not had an injury in months, maybe even a year. So no more skipping rest days for me. And that sort of leads into the next point, which is super important, and that's you need to put your health first. No matter what anyone tells you on Instagram, there are no quick fixes. I would spend so many hours looking on YouTube for videos like how to gain muscle in a week, and honestly, that is just not realistic. It's really not fun to admit, but it's true. Anyone that tries to sell you a quick fix solution or a diet that's going to make you lose 10 pounds in 1 week, it's not sustainable. And even though it might work, I'm not saying it won't work, it is extremely likely that you're not going to be able to maintain those results after the week is over. In other words, if you lose the weight fast, you're going to gain it back fast. Or if you gain a lot of weight really fast, then it's quite likely that a lot of that's going to be fat and not much of it is going to be muscle. People don't realize this, but muscle takes a long time to grow and fat doesn't take as long. So it's not the ideal situation for us, and it's definitely not favorable, but that's life. So a much better approach for both your physical and your mental health is to go slow and accept that it's going to be a process and it's going to be a journey. That's why we call it our fitness journey. You've got to be real with yourself and accept that it's going to take time, it's going to take consistency, and your body's going to thank you for that. Another thing I wish I knew when I started was to avoid the all or nothing mentality. At the start of my fitness journey, I was pretty much completely focused on gaining weight and building muscle. But the one thing that put me off was that I might gain fat along with that muscle. Because who doesn't want abs, right? So the way of thinking that I approached my diet really made no sense whatsoever, but it's what I did. And throughout the day, I just wasn't hungry in general. I don't have a massive appetite. I really wouldn't eat that much throughout the day, and I was like, oh, this is fine, I'll just keep my abs, it's all good. But then when it got to the evening, I would pretty much eat anything in sight to try and get the calories in and catch up. It's very similar to the restrict binge cycle that you might have heard about. And it wasn't good because I would spend hours in the kitchen every evening, sometimes until 2 a.m, just eating food because I was so scared that I would lose all my gains, which were non-existent at that point. And then by the end of the night, I just felt so full and so sick and honestly just disgusting. It was not a vibe. But I kept doing it because I was just never hungry throughout the day, and I was like, oh, well, this is working. I'll just save all my calories for later. That's fine. And then I just go all in. Unlike the restrict binge cycle, I never really felt guilty the day after, which I know a lot of people struggle with. Like, if they have been eating fairly clean and then one day they have one slice of pizza, then suddenly they've messed up their whole diet. And that's where we tend to see this all or nothing mindset, because you've already had one slice of pizza, you've already ruined your diet, so why not have the rest of the pizza and the chips and the ice cream, because you can't do any more harm. Girl, if that sounds like you, I promise you, your diet is not ruined and you can just get back on it tomorrow. The most important thing is, if you do find yourself binging, is not to beat yourself up about it the next day. You don't have to do extra cardio to try and burn it off, because realistically, that's pretty hard to do So instead of feeling guilty about it, just go and do your regular workout and push hard in your session to put that food to good use. The main problem I had when I was eating all this food at night was that when I opened something, I would want to finish it. I just really didn't like leaving half empty things in the fridge or in the cupboard because, I don't know, I just liked everything to be new. It's a very weird way to look at it, but even things like a jar of peanut butter, if I opened it, I would eat the whole thing in one night. Do you know how many calories are in a jar of peanut butter? Quite a lot. I honestly don't know how I did it. I think I did drink it. Okay, we're just not gonna go there. The main thing that really helped me combat the all or nothing mindset was realizing that consistency is way better than intensity. So having a diet that you can consistently stick to will be so much better for you both mentally and physically than if you were to eat healthy all day and then binge at night. It's the same as saying I eat all my fruit and vegetables on Monday, so the rest of the week I don't need any. Or you only do stretches on a Friday, so you don't need to do any stretching for the rest of the week. So if you did just a teeny tiny little bit of stretching every single day, then that's going to do a whole lot more for your mobility and your flexibility than if you had just one massive stretching session. You see what I'm saying? But similar with your diet, you can have those little foods that you enjoy, but have them throughout the day so you're not tempted to just binge on them at night. Some people like to have full-on cheat days, so they eat healthy for 5 or 6 days of the week, and then the weekend they'll just go all in. Although it might work for some people, I personally would not recommend that because it will take a toll on your mindset. Even though it might get rid of some of the guilt because you've allocated cheat days where you can specifically eat whatever you want, it's not going to be the best way to fuel your body and help you feel and perform your best. Instead, I'd always recommend just going for a balanced diet. You can have your treats, you can have your chocolate, but make sure you're getting your veg as well. That brings me on to my next point, which was very important on my fitness journey because I was trying to gain weight and build muscle. And the thing is, if you're not eating enough, then you're not going to get any results. You need to be fueling your body with enough calories to be able to just function. So if your goal is to grow, you're going to need more. I thought I was eating a lot when I started because I was just full all the time and I didn't have a massive appetite in the first place. But in reality, I wasn't seeing results I wanted, so when I started eating more, I immediately saw progress. What a surprise! I know if you're thinking of starting a bulking phase, it can be super scary to even think about starting to eat more. Because a lot of the time there can be that little thought at the back of your mind of,
what if I just gain fat and I don't gain any muscle?
but trust me, fueling your body right is gonna get you the results you want. It's just stepping out of your comfort zone initially that's the hardest part. I have a lot of videos on my channel about how to start bulking effectively, how to get the best results out of it, so if that's where you're at right now, I'll pop them below so you can check them out after this video. But yeah, if you want to grow, you need to eat to grow. I'm not saying you have to eat big to get big, although in some cases it's kind of true, but I'm saying you need to eat enough calories to fuel your body properly. And not just calories, you need to have a bit of an idea of your macros. I wish I had more of an idea about nutrition when I started because I only really knew about calories and I didn't really consider protein, fats, or carbs. I would just eat. And I have a pretty fast metabolism, so the food I was eating just really wasn't having much of an effect at all. But that's because I wasn't eating enough protein. It doesn't matter if your current goal is to gain weight or lose weight, if you're not eating enough protein, then you're not going to be able to build muscle. If your goal is to lose weight and you're not eating protein, then you will lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit, but some of that weight is going to come from muscle mass and some of that weight is going to come from fat mass. So when you get down to the leanness or the body fat percentage that you were looking for, you're not going to see as much muscle definition because you've not been eating enough protein to be able to build that muscle. Similarly, when you're bulking, if you're not eating protein, then a lot of the mass that you're going to gain is not going to be muscle mass. So that's why it's super important to 1, prioritize how many calories you're eating, and 2, prioritize protein. The specific amounts of fats and carbs aren't as important as long as you're getting enough healthy fats, because fats are essential for your heart health, your hair, your skin, your nails, your joints. So it's important that you're including all three of your main macronutrients in your meals. When I first started adding more protein into my diet, I went from skinny with a little bit of fat to skinny with a little bit of muscle. Now I'm less skinny with more muscle. We're still bulking. The next thing I wish I knew is that your results won't be linear. A lot of people tell you when you start the gym, as long as you lift heavier from week to week to week, then you're going to build more muscle. But in practice, sometimes you will hit a plateau and you won't see changes in the mirror for ages. And if the changes in the mirror are your only metric for measuring your progress, then that can be pretty discouraging. It's the same with fat loss. Usually at the start of your diet, most people tend to be able to lose the weight really quickly, but then sometimes they might hit a point where their body's just not cooperating and they find it a lot harder to get the rest of the weight off. Bodies are weird like that. So another little mindset shift that it's essential that you have is not measuring your progress by what you see in the mirror, but more from other ways that you've progressed. So can you lift heavier in the gym than you could last week? Or can you run further? Did you get your steps in last week? Did you get enough sleep last week? Did you go out for dinner and choose an option that was healthier, but you actually enjoyed it? It's all these little wins that can be really helpful to have a sort of a lens to see your progress through. And it can help you realize that even though you might not be seeing as much progress from the gains you see in the mirror right at this moment, you're still seeing progress in other areas of your life. And that's all part of the journey. The next thing I wish I knew is doing something is better than doing nothing. So if you're planning to work out in the morning before work or uni and then you wake up late, doing 20 minutes instead of your 1 hour session is still going to be something, and it's better than just skipping the gym. This point isn't really about the gains or the results you're going to see from doing that 20 minutes. It's more about building the habit and the consistency side of things. When you first start going to the gym, it's gonna be hard to drag yourself there and actually hype yourself up and get the motivation to go do your workout. But even just turning up and stepping foot in the gym in the first place is gonna go so far to help you build that consistency and dedication. When it comes down to it, motivation is what gets you started, and then dedication is what keeps you going. And don't get me wrong, there have been so many days where I've just not wanted to get out of bed, period. But when I eventually do, and I do something that's going to get me closer to my goals, then I feel a whole lot better for it. It's been the same with my diet. If I do find myself in the position that I haven't been able to get that much food throughout the day, like if I've been at uni all day, then I'll make the effort when I get home to try and eat more calories so that I'm hitting my calorie and my protein goal. It sort of comes back to the point that consistency is better than intensity, because all those little somethings are going to add up into something bigger. And the consistency that you've put into your diet and your training is going to show for itself. The next one's something that I actually struggled with quite a lot because I didn't think I could do anything about it, and that was other people's opinions. The people around you will always have their opinions about you and your life. And a lot of these opinions seem to be elevated when it comes to your fitness or your body. Personally, I had pretty much zero support for starting the gym because all my family just thought that I would either get super bulky or super skinny because I was already very underweight. I got comments like, don't do too much, you're gonna look like a man, do you have to go to the gym? And even things about my diet. People were telling me I needed to eat more, and then when I did eat more, they were like, why do you eat so much? It just really frustrated me. And also the fact that building muscle and seeing results takes time, and people would continuously keep telling me to stop training and stop eating this much or eat more, and there's just so much conflicting noise. But I knew in myself that I was doing this for the right reasons, and it was just so hard to push against that noise and stop people's opinions from holding me back. This has definitely been the hardest part of my fitness journey, and a lot of the time these opinions will quite possibly come from people who are close to you, and it's all out of love because they might be concerned for you. They don't know what's going on in your head, and I know, as frustrating as it is, they don't. And sometimes even if you tell them what your intentions are, they will still be questioning your actions and what your goals really are. Random people online will have a lot more negative opinions on what you're doing with your body and your health. I'm just going to say this right now. You can completely ignore them because, one, who has the time to go out of their way and comment negative stuff about someone else? That says a lot more about them than it does about you. Two, it's more than likely they are jealous of you because you are actually making the effort to make a change and become a better version of yourself. And they're sitting there on their screen just putting you down for it because they can't be bothered to get off their butt and go and do something. You are the hero and the authority in this situation, not them. So do not listen to the haters. Block them if you have to. For me, the hate online definitely wasn't the hardest part. It was the people who were close to me because I actually listened to their opinions and valued them more, which made things a lot harder. But the key is you need to know that your mindset is in the right place and you're doing this for you. You're doing this to better your health and become a better version of you. If you have any concerns that your mindset isn't quite in the right place, then you might just want to take a little step back and reevaluate your fitness journey. I'm definitely not saying you have to stop. I'm just saying you might want to steer the boat in a slightly different direction if your mindset isn't quite in the right place yet. And chances are, in a couple years' time, the people who were close to you who had those negative opinions will see how much you've come on and will actually be proud of you for it. The next point is, you will never know unless you try. I was terrified to start the gym. I just thought it would be full of massive gym bros who would constantly be judging me because I had no idea what I was doing, and it would all be a bit of a car crash. But when I tell you I'm so glad I stuck to it and didn't give up after that first workout, I am so glad. I would honestly be a completely different person today if I had quit the gym. Yes, I've gained weight and built muscle, but I've also gained so much confidence. I just want to underline that and highlight it and everything because I would not be here right now talking to you if I had not stuck to the gym. I would still be the self-conscious skinny girl who worried about everyone's opinion of her. She ain't come back anytime soon. That accent was atrocious. I'm sorry. But the point is, if you never try stepping out of your comfort zone, then you'll never know how far you can go. You'll never reach your full potential, and you'll never find out what life has for you. Personally, I didn't realize how much God had in store for me until I actually trusted Him and stopped listening to the voices of the people around me and just went in the direction that I felt He was leading me. I gotta give it all back to Him because without Him, I wouldn't be here in the first place. So what's one thing that you wish you knew at the start of your fitness journey? Drop it below along with any video requests because I want to make content that you guys actually want to see so that I can help you in the best way I can. Because if you've made it this far, you are officially a real one and I love you to bits. You are subscribed, right? Okay, that's good. Panic over, panic over. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and you're going to find this video super helpful for your fitness journey up next.